Artificial intelligence, the key to solving humanity's greatest challenges? Well, not quite. Today, we're discussing how AI may actually be creating more problems than it solves, reshaping our world in ways we can barely imagine.
Oh, that's an intriguing perspective. What kind of problems are we talking about here?
Well, we're looking at a future where AI could fundamentally alter nearly every aspect of our lives, from how we work to how we create art. Let's start with something that's already causing quite a stir: AI generated deepfakes and the rise of misinformation.
Hmm, I've heard about deepfakes. They're those incredibly realistic fake videos, right?
Exactly. And they're becoming more sophisticated by the day. We're talking about AI that can create videos and audio so convincing you'd swear they were real. Imagine a world where you can't trust anything you see or hear online. A video of a world leader declaring war could be completely fabricated.
That's terrifying. Are there any ways to detect these deepfakes?
Well, there are efforts to develop AI tools for detection, but it's a constant cat and mouse game. The technology is advancing so rapidly that it's hard to keep up. And what's even more concerning is that this technology is becoming more accessible. Soon, anyone with a computer and some basic skills could potentially create false media that could ruin reputations or influence elections.
So you're saying we're entering an era where seeing isn't necessarily believing anymore? That's a sobering thought.
Absolutely. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's move on to our second major change: AI job displacement. This is something that's been talked about for years, but it's really starting to become a reality now.
Oh, I've heard about this. Self-driving cars could put millions of drivers out of work, right?
Exactly. And it's not just drivers. We're seeing AI systems taking over tasks in customer service, manufacturing, and even in fields like law and medicine. It's a double edged sword. On one hand, AI is creating new job opportunities in fields like AI development and data science. But on the other hand, it's making many traditional jobs obsolete.
That sounds like it could lead to some serious economic disruption. Do we have any data on how many jobs could be affected?
Well, according to a report by McKinsey, up to 800 million jobs could be displaced by automation by 2030. That's about 30% of the global workforce. But, and this is important, the same report suggests that technological advancements could also create 300 to 365 million new jobs in that time frame.
So it's not all doom and gloom. But it does sound like we'll need to seriously rethink our education and job training systems.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about something that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie: the weaponization of AI and autonomous killer robots. We're seeing the development of autonomous weapons systems that can operate with minimal human intervention.
Wait, are you serious? That sounds incredibly dangerous.
It is. These are machines that can identify and engage targets on their own. The implications are huge. It raises all sorts of ethical questions about the use of AI in warfare. Who's responsible if an autonomous weapon makes a mistake? How do we ensure these systems aren't hacked or used irresponsibly?
I can see why there's a push for international regulations on the use of AI in warfare. But as with many aspects of AI, the technology is developing faster than our ability to create rules around it, isn't it?
Exactly. And that brings us to our fourth point: AI surveillance and privacy violations. This is something that's already happening, but it's likely to become even more pervasive in the coming years.
So it's a classic case of security versus privacy?
Precisely. We're seeing AI powered facial recognition systems and data analysis tools being used to monitor public spaces and online behavior. On one hand, that could help prevent crime or terrorism, but on the other hand, it's a massive invasion of privacy. And there's always the risk of these systems being abused.
Those are all valid concerns. It seems like we'll need to find a way to balance the potential benefits of AI surveillance with the need to protect individual privacy and civil liberties.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that doesn't get as much attention: the environmental cost of AI. We often think of AI as this intangible, virtual thing, but the reality is that it requires massive amounts of computing power, which in turn requires a lot of energy.
I hadn't even considered that aspect. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. Training large AI models consumes enormous amounts of electricity. A study by the University of Massachusetts found that training a single AI model can emit as much carbon as 5 cars in their lifetimes. And as AI becomes more integrated into our daily lives, from smart homes to automated cars, the demand for data processing is only going to increase.
That's eye-opening. Are there efforts to address this issue?
Yes, there are efforts to develop more energy efficient AI algorithms and greener data centers, but it's a challenge that the tech industry will need to address as AI continues to grow. Moving on to our sixth point, AI in healthcare. This is an area where AI has the potential to do a lot of good, but it also comes with some risks.
I've heard about AI being used in medical diagnoses. Is that what you're referring to?
That's part of it. AI is already making significant contributions to healthcare. It's helping doctors diagnose diseases, analyze medical data, and develop personalized treatment plans. Some AI algorithms have even outperformed human doctors in identifying certain conditions. But there are also concerns about relying too heavily on AI in such a critical field.
I can see why that would be worrying. What kind of concerns are we talking about?
Well, there are worries about the potential for errors or biases in AI systems. If an AI makes a mistake in diagnosing a patient, the consequences could be severe. And there's also the question of how much we should rely on AI versus human expertise in making medical decisions.
That makes sense. It's about augmenting human capabilities rather than replacing them entirely.
Exactly. Now let's talk about something that might sound like science fiction, but is quickly becoming reality: the rise of human cyborgs and AI integration. We're seeing the development of AI-powered prosthetics that can be controlled by thought, allowing amputees to perform tasks that were previously impossible.
Wow, that sounds incredible. But I imagine it also raises some ethical questions.
You're right on both counts. There's potential for AI to augment human senses and cognitive abilities. But this raises all sorts of ethical and social questions. What happens when some people can afford these AI enhancements and others can't? Does it create a new form of inequality?
It's mind-boggling to think about. It seems like we're entering uncharted territory in terms of what it means to be human.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our final point: AI and creativity. This is an area that's really pushing the boundaries of what we thought AI could do. We're seeing AI systems that can generate music, visual art, and even writing that rivals human creators in quality.
That's fascinating. But also a bit concerning for artists and creative professionals, I imagine.
Exactly. If AI can create high quality art, music, and literature faster and cheaper than humans, what does that mean for human artists? Will there still be a place for human creativity in the future? And there's also the question of what we value. In art, is it just about the end product, or is there something inherently valuable about the human experience and expression that goes into creating art?
Those are deep questions. It's possible that AI could enhance human creativity rather than replace it, but it will certainly change the landscape of art and entertainment.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from deepfakes and job displacement to cyborgs and AI-generated art. It's clear that AI is going to bring about some major changes in the next decade, some exciting and some potentially scary. While we can't predict exactly how things will unfold, it's crucial that we start thinking about these issues now.
You're absolutely right. It's a lot to take in, but it's important that we're having these conversations now.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that's all we have time for today. Remember, the future isn't set in stone. We all have a role to play in shaping how AI will impact our world. Stay curious, stay informed, and let's work together to create a future where AI enhances our lives without compromising our values.